Today, a Cajun-style dark roux meets the Chinese holy trinity of ginger, garlic, and scallion, taking the Cantonese classic of beef and radish to the next level. We start with the beef. Medium-high heat with a generous amount of lard. You can use any neutral oil. Beef goes into sear. First, to rapidly evaporate its surface moisture. Then, through heat, we develop meaty, complex flavors thanks to the Maillard reaction. Later, through even higher heat, nutty complexity thanks to caramelization. We try to form one even layer to not crowd the pan. Do them in batches if necessary. Because we're going to use the Holy Trinity, I like to add my ginger chunky, early. Yes, they will lose a bit of fat-soluble fragrance when we do skim the fat, but the searing followed by the braising will give you extremely tasty ginger, so it's worth it. Once everything is beautifully browned, beef comes out briefly, ginger stays. Optional step to skim off the excess fat. Because we're using beef cheeks today, not much, but you can use any braising joint for this dish. Now we complete the Holy Trinity. Scallion white goes in to form our savory base and to impart some subtle sweetness. Heat will release the moisture from our scallion, lifting the fond, those beautiful concentrated burn bits. Now we crush some garlic to enhance our savory base and later develop some caramelized sweetness. Now star anise goes in to impart some licorice-like warmth and more importantly to really bring out the meatiness from our beef. Whole black peppercorns for some earthy, woody depth. And just like in Philippine adobo, they will also become extremely tasty in their own right. And black pepper beef, another Chinese takeaway classic. Optional, Shaoxing wine or sherry for some oxidized depth. And this will really lift the concentrated Maillard goodness. Very generous amount of light soy sauce for salinity and umami. We're aiming for overall 1% salt of the weight of the cheeks, which works out to about 5% soy sauce. And this is why we've not salted the cheeks ahead or during the initial sear. If you really want a dry surface, dry it in the fridge, but don't brine it. Oh, and there's no need for dark soy. We have a roux for that. First, beef goes back in to avoid unnecessary dilution. As usual, stacking efficiency is paramount to concentrating flavors. Resting juices back in. Now the necessary dilution, but only by half to give ourselves leeway when we do add our dark roux. Lid on to simmer while we introduce our other stuff. 1.1 to 1 fat to flour ratio. We melt a generous amount of lard just to make the mixing a bit more fluid. As tempting as it is, don't try to use the beef searing fat. It contains brown proteins and oxidized lipids, making the smoke point very unpredictable. And we also want the clean, nutty, toasty aroma of our dark roux to really shine. Flour goes in and we whisk. We've covered dark roux extensively in both our Creole and Cajun gumbo videos, which you can watch here. In essence, what we're trying to do is for the fat to start coating our flour, in turn coating each starch granule of the flour, preventing clumping when we do introduce the liquid. Then we gently toast our flour to develop complex flavors through the Maillard reaction. Once your whole room smells like the crust of some very yummy bread with a hint of smokiness, and you have a pot of dark chocolate, we first switch off the stove to allow for some carryover cooking. Then, through whisking, we slightly, just slightly, cool down our dark roux. We now very carefully, gradually introduce our liquid, As tempting as it is to use the braising liquid straight away, don't use ice water or cold water, because as you introduce the liquid, the starch granule in our dark roux starts to swell, gelatinizing, thickening in the process. And the cold liquid is what's going to buy us some time, preventing clumping. Bit by bit, and because we only covered half of our beef, we can afford to be quite generous. Look at this pot of dark chocolate. Just FYI, there'll be no cornstarch slurry at the end, yeah? And now they get to meet. You can go whichever way you like. It'll be messy either way. Give everything a good mix. Bring back some heat. Now we add some daikon to braise to impart some mild sweetness. The pectin in the daikon will make the liquid feel a bit silkier, our okra of the dish. Lid on and we simmer until tender, about 3 hours. After 3 hours, we have this beauty. Look at that. Now we continue to layer flavors and texture. Round 2 black pepper, this time freshly ground for the sharp bite. Daikon, round 2, this time grated tempura dipping sauce style. And we do so keeping all the grating juices. Now we first squeeze out all the excess liquid, and this round would give us a lot of body, a tiny bit of sharpness, and a hint of subtle sweetness. Good mix. This is our version of the filet powder. And here is where all the pungency, sharpness, and real brightness lies. We add, we taste, we adjust until we've reached the desired balance. For different kind of brightness and a tiny bit of funk, Chinese black vinegar. You can use malt vinegar, you can even use lemon juice. You're supposed to feel the brightness but not taste even a hint of vinegar. Good mix. Oh, look at that. Now for even more heat and to pay our homage to Louisiana, hot sauce. Scallion round 2, this time the green part for texture, color, and freshness. How beautiful is that? Let's plate one, shall we? Look at that. Oh, no, it doesn't get better than this. Let me show you what we've been trying to achieve. Look at this beautiful cheek, just spoon tender, falls apart. And of course, given the long braising time, absorbed all this beautiful smoky dark roux goodness, as well as the umami from our beautiful soy sauce. The other highlight of the dish, just want to show you a cross-section of this beautiful daikon. Look at that, that's the core of the daikon, and you can see how far the flavors have traveled. I'm trying to fish out my favorite. This is a piece of ginger to die for. Please, please cook it.